later this afternoon. We've got the date and time established already, and as most of you know, the Gilroy Garlic Festival is an event that we put on every year, and we typically host between 80 and 100,000 people to our festival. It takes several thousand people a day volunteering to make this festival work. And so at the time that the incident occurred, it was near the end of the final day. It was last night, Sunday. Questions that were asked, regarding the security and the way that we manage and monitor it from a law enforcement and public safety perspective, is that we have police personnel on site the entire time of the festival. We actually create a police compound where we have a command center, a booking area, all the things that you would need to run a major operation like this. The officers are deployed throughout the park, and they're assigned to different regions of the park, so they're spread out. We don't have officers all in one spot. When this call came in, the shots being fired, the closest team of officers responded immediately. They were there and engaging the suspect in less than a minute. The suspect was armed with an assault-type rifle, and as soon as he saw the officers, he engaged the officers and fired at the officers with that rifle. And I had 3 officers that engaged the suspect. And despite the fact that they were outgunned with their handguns against a rifle, those 3 officers were able to fatally wound that suspect, and the event ended very quickly. Of course, then we had the aftermath of dealing with the victims and the EMS side of things. We put out a call for help. We had over 20 agencies, federal, state, county, and local agencies from all over that responded, people down into our park. And it was just incredible to see the cooperation and how quickly they put this together and how quickly they were able to render aid to people. I can't tell you how proud I am of the officers for being able to engage this guy as quickly as they did, because we had thousands of people there in a very small area, and it could have gone so much worse so fast. And so I'm really proud that they got there as quickly as they did and that they were successful in taking the threat out of the equation. We do have 3 people deceased, confirmed deceased. We have one who was a 6-year-old male victim. We also had a 13-year-old female victim, and then we had another male victim in his 20s. We don't have a motive for the shooting as yet. We did have reports of a potential second suspect. We don't have any confirmation that any second suspect did any shooting, but we certainly are investigating all leads to try to determine who that potential second suspect is and what exactly that person's role was. We found out, some of the federal agencies helping us out. We found out that the rifle that this suspect used was an SKS. It was a AK-47 type assault rifle. It was purchased legally in the state of Nevada on July the 9th of this year. And reports have been going out of potential suspect. And I will confirm that the suspect is the person that several news media have been inquiring about, Santino William Logan, who is 19 years old. And I say that name with some hesitation because I don't believe that somebody like this deserves the notoriety, the recognition, but I also understand that you all, want to have some confirmation of that. I think the last thing I'll say before I turn it over I want to thank all of the agencies and all of the people that came to help. I don't even know how many people, but there was a lot. And when we put out the call for help, they came. Because it's such a large crime scene, the FBI has come in and offered some assistance, and we've accepted that assistance because of the size of the area that we need to cover. And so before we open it up for questions, I'm going to have them come up and talk a little bit about their role and how they're helping us with this case, and then I'll come back up.
Next to speak with you, Deputy Special Agent in charge of the FBI, Craig Fair.
Thank you. My name is Craig Fair. I'm the Deputy Special Agent in charge of the San Francisco Division of the FBI. First off, I'd like to express my condolences to the city of Gilroy and to the family, friends, and victims of this absolutely heinous act. The FBI's principal role is assisting the city and the police department of Gilroy in the investigation. Our preeminent and principal concern at this point is motivation, ideological leanings. Was he affiliated with anyone or any group? That still has to be ruled out, still has to be determined at this point. And we are supporting Gilroy Police Department in making those determinations. Our evidence recovery team, it's a sizable team. We have about 30 individuals out there right now collecting evidence. As we find evidence, as we flag it, as we mark it and map it, we're determining that the crime scene is much more expansive than what we originally thought, and it amounts to many, many, many acres. We appreciate the public's patience as we process this. It's done very slowly, it's done very methodically, and it's done for a reason should we have to use that evidence in prosecution later on. I'd also like to thank the first responders. As the mayor cited, in their heroism, the FBI personnel who worked tirelessly throughout the evening and will do so for the next several days. Our partnership with the Gilroy Police Department and the city of Gilroy as we move through this crisis, and members of the general public who are offering, continue to send in tips, photos, and assist with the investigation. Thank you.
We will now take a few questions. I ask that you direct your questions to me, and we will put them to the correct person. I saw that hand go up first.
Thank you. Probably for the chief, but you talked about the potential of another suspect. Do you believe there's somebody else out there, or is there the potential that those were erroneous reports and that they thought they saw somebody who might not be there?
You know, we really don't know. We've gotten multiple reports that there may have been another person with him, that they ran this way or they ran that way, but different people gave different versions, so we really don't know at this point.
I saw this hand go up next.
Will you be able to identify the victims at this point?
We are not identifying the victims at this point. Typically, that's something that we leave up to the county coroner's office to make sure that all their notifications are done before that's released.
The gentleman in jacket.
Two questions for you. Had your officers not acted quicker, would there have been more bloodshed? And were those officers wearing body cameras?
So the answer to the first question is there absolutely would have been more bloodshed, I believe. With the number of people in the small area that they were in, I think it's very, very fortunate that they were able to engage him as quickly as they did. And then the second part of the question is our officers do wear body cameras. Who was at the moment that this happened and who's had them on or what, I don't have that information yet, but we will get that as we move forward in the investigation.
Gentleman with the mustache.
Chief, could you give us a rough idea, sort of a laundry list of the type of evidence you were trying to gather? Because I know you want to try to find out what the motivation was. What type of things are you and other law enforcement agencies trying to gather to help try to figure out what triggered all this?
Well, there's a number of different aspects of an investigation like this, and we have partners from all different agencies. So, whether it's information concerning the suspect, whether it's information concerning this potential second person, there's a very, very large crime scene that needs to be processed diligently. There's all kinds of background information that we need to process. It's going to be a very prolonged and complicated process for us.
Can you give us, though, as a follow-up, can you give us some idea of things you're looking at? I'm guessing maybe computers, the types of people you're talking to to try to learn more about him?
Yeah, I am not comfortable at this point because I don't have enough of a detail of that level of briefing to comment on that. I may be able to do that later today.
The gentleman with the blue shirt under the TV set.
It's too early, but at this point, have you spotted any red flags on his social media? Is there any indication that mental illness is involved?
I am not ready to comment on that yet. I don't have that level of detail either.
Are you familiar with him? And we were told he was from Gilroy. Did he have a record, anything along those lines? And also, was he the one who purchased the gun legally from the background?
As far as his local background, again, I'm not ready to comment on that. My understanding that he is the one that purchased the weapon in Nevada.
We had seen that he had moved to Nevada. Can you confirm if he was living in Nevada? Do you know what brought him there? And then how long had he been back in California before this incident happened?
I don't have that information yet. I think he was living with family members, but he's originally from Gilroy. I don't yet know how long he was in Nevada or how long he'd been back.
One last question.
Many people have to rush away, obviously, from the fairground. What are some people who are maybe wanting to return? And then the second question is, since this is an ongoing investigation, how secure is the fairground and surrounding?
Chief, would you like to address that?
Yeah, well, I would say that it's very secure. We have quite a large number of personnel out establishing a perimeter around the area because we have to do the evidence processing. There are people that were at the festival that literally ran away and left their belongings, and we have vehicles and there's vendor tents and whatnot. We can't allow them back in until we finish with the evidence processing portion of this. So we have a team that's set up to help assist those people to provide some support until we can get them back to their belongings.
Can you talk about the victims? They were so young. We have 20 people under the age of 22 children. We talked a lot about the suspect here, but when you speak to all these young lives and the loss and losing and everything they're doing.
Well, I think any time a life is lost, it's a tragedy. But when it's young people, it's even worse. And it's very difficult. I don't know that I don't know what, if any, association there is. It seems that this was a random act, but again, we've got a long way to go before we can come to a determination what his motivation was.
That's all the questions we're going to take for now. I did make a commitment to the Spanish-speaking stations that I would give an interview outside in Spanish. So if you folks would like to set up outside, I will take care of that. Any other questions we will take later. There will be future conferences that we've put together.
Confirm the total number of injured.
The total number, as we understand it, was 16. 1 people deceased and 12 injured. One of those deceased was the
Jimmy, thank you so much.
I'm sorry.